Hi guys, so I thought today I might talk about a wee bit about my childhood and some big moments in life that I think led up to my adult life of having to deal with depression. Also, I just want to, before I start, a big shout out to YouTube for sending me an email raising concerns about my last video. It was quite good to see that they take mental health seriously and things like that, so they sent me an email. I'll take a screenshot and I'll put the information in the email with help services available in the UK, which was really good to see, and I was a bit shocked when I got the email, but it just goes to show that they do check your content and there is somebody listening, which some people are like, oh, it's Big Brother, but I think it's great that they at least did something, whereas most places probably wouldn't. So I'm going to talk about my childhood. I'm originally from the Highlands. When I was born, I lived with my dad, my mum, my half brother, and my other full brother. And my mum, I was very young, and my mum and dad actually got divorced by the time I was 4. So from the stories that I've heard later on in life, it sounded like a very toxic relationship. So this is where it gets confusing, because my mum never talked about relationships. I never knew her to be in a relationship other than my dad, and that went south. So I only get like kind of half the story with her, or well, half the story with the relationship, but I've had other people fill in gaps as well for me over the years, and I think that has had a massive effect on my life and how I see relationships and how I should be treated, because I do think that's a huge issue that I have about how I let people treat me, not just in a relationship where I have a partner, I mean like people in general, people at work, friends that I've chosen in the past, because I never saw a healthy relationship or understood how one was to work. So my mum and dad got divorced when I was 4, and we moved to the other side of the island that we lived on, but we're still on the island, and my dad had access to us, and there was agreement through the divorce. They went to court over custody and whatnot. My dad got into another relationship, and he had full custody of my half brother, and my mum did not like that one bit, and she made it known. And eventually, after moving a few times around the island, moving schools and whatnot, when I turned 7, we moved down to the south of Scotland, and I was no longer seeing my dad. I had no contact with him, and I was a kid, so I didn't know what his address was either, and I'd never really been taught it. But from my memory, I could kind of remember where the street was, and I knew what village it was in, but that was it. Like, I couldn't tell you what the street name was or what house number it was. So throughout my childhood, we used to go back up to the island because we had a family house up there on my mum's side, but I never saw my dad. Didn't see my dad for about 10 years. No contact whatsoever until the joy of social media. And that's how I found my dad, on good old People, of all places. But that's another story for later on. So we moved into the south of Scotland. I don't understand this at all. We never got explained to us why we were moving. We just went on holiday my mum turned around to us in the car and was like, oh, by the way, we're going to move down here. And then I don't remember moving, I don't remember our furniture coming with us, I don't remember our clothes coming with us. It just sort of happened overnight. And we ended up staying, this is the weird part, it's like she had no plan. It felt like she just kind of up and left one day. Because we ended up staying in my granddad's spare bedroom, the three of us together. So my mum would be in one single bed and my brother was in another single bed, and I used to sleep on the floor. I wonder if that's why I've got bad back problems now. So I felt like she always didn't really fully explain to us what was going on in the situation. Like, when we moved down, we didn't get explained that we wouldn't be seeing our dad. And yeah, it felt like everything happened overnight. And eventually we ended up getting a flat in a really rubbish area. It's not somewhere that you dreamed you'd want to bring your kids up. And this is what I don't understand, why she put us in that situation. Like, if she'd maybe took a little bit longer and paused and waited to move down, we might have been in a better situation. And I remember she took us to Disneyland when I was about 8 years old. Now, I was aware that we didn't have much money, and we lived in a rubbish area, and we had a really old car, and I remember asking her, I was like, how can we afford to go? And most kids would be like, oh my god, I went to Disneyland. But me, I was like, how can we afford to go? Because I knew it cost a lot of money. Like, that was a dream holiday. And she was like, oh, I've been saving up for years. So I found out, when I got in contact back with my dad when I was about 17, that when my mum had left my dad, they had joint bank accounts, and she cleared out the joint bank account and all their savings, and she cleared out my half-brother's bank account and all his savings too. So that's where we could move so quickly, because she had money, and then that's how we got that holiday. Like, my mum didn't work when we moved back down south, so I knew that. I don't remember her working when we lived up north either, so yeah, I questioned a lot of things later on in life, like how was she affording what was she doing, especially when she wasn't working. So at this point you're probably thinking, wow, apart from moving away from your dad, that's pretty shady. You ought to go on like this amazing holiday. But I don't know if any of you have ever seen Miss Bouquet Keeping Up Appearances. My mum was very much keeping up appearances. She played the part very well. So far you're probably thinking my childhood was alright. And when we lived in the Highlands, it was amazing. But my mum was a fan of smacking as a punishment, and it happened a lot. But she wouldn't. This is the thing. She wouldn't explain to you what you'd done wrong. You knew you'd done something wrong, and you're going to get smacked for it. Whereas now that I'm a parent, I can sit my son down and say, you made the wrong decision, but I would never hit him. No matter how frustrated you get, like that's a person that you've made. Like, your life is to protect them, not hurt them. And two, how does that make them learn a lesson other than fear and violence? Like, that's just going to make them grow up to be a fearful person or a violent person. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, smacking's not that bad. But that escalated. The older I got, it went from a smack on the bum to eventually a smack on the face. Especially when I was a teenager. And yeah, I probably did give her a little bit of lip in because I did want to be more independent than a grown up. But I also noticed that there was a huge difference in between myself and my brother and how much attention and love he got compared to what I got. So at one point my mum and myself had a big blowout over washing because I hadn't put my school shirts through to the wash and I didn't have any clean, and she was like, well, you can do it yourself. So at 14 I started doing my own washing. And I remember by the time my brother was 18, so I was 16 at the time, so I'd been doing my washing for 2 years by that point. He came home from uni and was working a rubbish part-time job in a shop, and he had to have his pass and things like that, and he'd accidentally put his pass in the washing machine, and obviously it was being washed, and then he started screaming at me because he couldn't work the washing machine. Like, I was 14 when I started working that thing, but yeah, at 18 he couldn't. So you can see from my perspective that he was a golden child. Even things like he would get the latest PS. So at one point he had a PS1 that was in his bedroom, and then he got a PS2 when they came out, that was like brand new, and the PS1 went into the living room, but you were never allowed to play it because she'd be watching TV, so it was redundant. And then I can't remember if he got he got a new TV. And eventually my granddad, and I loved my granddad, and he basically brought me up. He was the good side of my life, and I don't think he knew what was going on when we weren't at his house. So eventually my granddad bought me a wee TV VCR combo as I got a wee bit older. But by that point it was DVDs that were coming out, so anyway, I was grateful for that, but you know, my brother's stuff was always bigger, better, and more expensive. Mine wasn't. Yeah, so back to, it's hard, I don't want to say it, but it's abuse. We would have a lot of blowouts, and I'm not saying that I was totally innocent in it. I mean, I was getting to that age where I thought I knew everything, and I was given attitude, but everything ended up in a hit of some kind. So I can tell you a few stories from when it got worse when I was a teenager, for sure. So when I was about 12, 13 years old, my mum used to have my hair really long and then had like a box fringe, and I wanted to grow out because I was starting to get older and I wanted to be in control of how my hair was. She wouldn't let me dye my hair either, so I had my hair cut the way she wanted and how she wanted, and I was starting to get really embarrassed and I wanted to control how I looked. So I decided that I wanted to grow out my fringe, and she was sick of it sitting in my eyes, but she wanted me to clip it back like a 4-year-old, have like clips each side holding my fringe back, and I looked like an idiot and I hated it. And she was like, oh, well, you're not having it in your eyes. And eventually it came to blows. She twisted my arm at my back, sprained my wrist when she twisted it up my back, and held me there until she cut my fringe short so it was out of my eyes. What rational mother does that? Like, I couldn't ever imagine pinning my son down to cut his hair because I wanted it a way that he didn't. I never understood that. So fast forward a few years till I was 16, and my granddad, bless him, offered to pay for us to go on holiday, which was really sweet. So I really wanted to go to Egypt. She was having none of it. So we went to Tenerife. But of course we had to go to like the boring side of Tenerife. It was really, because apparently there's like a party side, and then there was like the OEP side that people go there for their retirement. So we ended up there. And like it was bad enough that we didn't have a good relationship at this point at all. And I remember, you know, it's your holiday, you want to sleep in a wee bit, but no, we were up a crack of dawn every day. And then I remember one morning she couldn't bother to wake me, which is fine, you know, I'm 16 and I'm responsible for getting up. So she went to breakfast without me, and then eventually when I did catch up with her, she was like, oh, well, you just couldn't be bothered to get up, you're so lazy, da da da. And this argument like continued throughout the day, till eventually we were standing in a foyer bit, waiting to have something to eat. And it was all like marble, so it was really echoey down there, and we were kind of bickering, and she slapped me in front of all these other people, and I remember just not knowing what to do. I could remember she caught me on this side, and I just remember like, don't cry, don't show her that she's hurt you, don't cry, hold back the tears. And I just looked at the floor because I just couldn't look around and see all these other people's faces of what my mum had just done to me in public. And that was the first time that she'd ever done that in public. And then kind of after that, that's when it got a lot worse. It got a lot worse after I got my first boyfriend. And I don't know if it's because she felt like she was losing control of me or what, I don't know. But so it started when I was about 16, and by the time I was 17 she kicked me out of the house. Now she claims that she didn't kick me out of the house, that that I left of my own accord. But I don't know at what point pack your bags and leave was that me deciding to leave of my own accord. She told me to pack my bags and leave. So I packed the essentials and called one of my friends and left. This was obviously after a big blowout where she pinned me down to my bed and hit every inch of my body. So was I meant to stay in that situation, or for my own safety, go? But of course she ran around telling everybody that it was my choice. Again, top notch mum. So you can understand this had a big, huge effect on my childhood. And of course not seeing healthy relationships with, like, she was very vindictive. And what little she did say about my dad was never nice. She'd always get her wee digs in. And my granddad would never say anything bad about my dad. Didn't really pass comment. So I'm just trying to think of it in order. She gave us opportunities in life, I'm not going to deny that. You know, we went to gymnastics, we went to swimming, we did this, that and the other. And eventually she got me into Scottish country dancing, which I did not want to do at all. I wanted to do ballet, but because she did Scottish country dancing, I had to do it. So I felt like I had to do it, because if I didn't, I'd just get a beating. So she started taking me to these dancing, and you know, I enjoyed it to a point. I liked going to competitions and things like that, but it's not what I wanted to do. And I remember telling her that, like, I wanted to stop, and because all the other girls that were in my team were going off to university and things like that, and I kind of got to use it as a kind of like get out of jail card, which means it was less of a beating for not wanting to do the dancing. And she was like, oh, I'll find you more classes and things like that, and I was like, I don't want to do this, I've got exams, like I want to concentrate on my education more than I wanted to do dancing. So I eventually got out of that. So when I was a teenager, I got introduced to a lot of new friends and things like that, and decided that I quite liked the alternative style, and I quite liked like rock music and things like that. And obviously she hated it because, you know, I had the beautiful emo fringe right over my eyes, and I wanted to dye my hair black and things like that, and wear black lipstick and dark makeup and things like that. So she let me go through that phase, no matter how much I pushed. Like, she would still try and push the pink jeans on me, and it took her a while to let go of all the pink frilly things. And just because I was going like that wasn't meaning that I was less of a girl. It just means I want to wear black skinny jeans for a while instead of pink baggy ones that had no shape. So when I was a teenager, with everything going on with my mum at home, I hated being at home. Like, I used to stay in the art department after school for an extra 40 minutes just because it meant I didn't have to go home straight away. So I tried to commit suicide when I was about, I think it was 15 or 16 years old. It would have been that summer. I decided to try and take an overdose. For some reason, she used to like to bulk buy paracetamol and ibuprofen, so we had plenty of it in the house. So I tried taking a lot of pills and making myself very ill. I obviously didn't take enough. I didn't know how much you had to take, but I remember taking a lot to try and end my hell that I was in. I also used to like walk out in front of traffic and things like that because I just didn't want to have that life anymore. And eventually it got to the point where like I didn't really eat. So like at lunchtime I used the excuse that the lunch line was long all the time, but I just basically stopped eating lunch. I was pretty skinny as a teenager. My hair would fall out a lot, which I don't think my friends really knew, but it would fall out a lot. Sometimes if I ate in front of my family at night, I would make myself sick, because I want to stay skinny. My mum is quite fat, and I wanted to stay quite skinny. I didn't want to end up like her, so there was that mental thing as well as everything else on top of me. Like, that was the only thing I could really control in my life. She wanted to control my hair and my clothes and who I was friends with and where I went and what time. Oh my god, if I came home 5 minutes late from whatever, I would be slapped left, right and centre up and down the house until she saw fit, and then she would ground me for 2 weeks. Like, she wanted to control every aspect of my life. So eating and getting fat I could control, and it's like sometimes like I wouldn't eat my lunch, I'd throw up my dinner, and then later on in the night I would like gorge myself on crisps and fruit and biscuits and things like that, and then I'd be like so disgusted with myself that This is the constant cycle. And I don't think anybody knew how bad it was. She definitely didn't. She didn't know what I was doing. I used to eat quite a lot of sweet stuff to stop me from fainting. And some of my favourite stories was the week leading up to my 16th birthday. And this again, favouritism with my big brother and me. They would be going out to shows for the festival. So, like, every night there'd be a show that she'd be going to, and my brother would go with her. And I would go to my granddad's for dinner, so bless him, he'd make dinner and things like that. Sometimes I would stay late in the art department, and like those days I would be like, oh, Gran, I'm just going to go straight home, I'm not going to come for dinner. So I missed quite a lot of meals and food that week because she wasn't about, and my granddad obviously didn't know what was going on. And so it was the Friday was my 16th birthday, and I remember feeling really hot and dizzy and just didn't feel right. And this is how invisible I was at school, that I put my hand up to get my teacher's attention, and she just point blank ignored me until I looked at the boy that was sitting next to him and said, I'm going to faint. And I put my head down on the desk, and he said that my eyes rolled into the back of my head, and then that's when he informed the teacher that I'd fainted on my desk. And then I came to eventually, and they brought the janitor up to try and get me down to the first aid room, and he stood me up, and they really should have tried to give me something sugary after I fainted the first time. Even though I came to, it wasn't 100%, and they tried to stand me up, and I just hit the deck. I just went straight to the ground. He was trying to push tables away as I was hitting the ground. I got put in a recovery position and eventually got taken down into the medical room, to which they were like, oh, we're going to call your mum and get her to come pick you up. And I was just like, no, don't tell her, because then she'll have to come out. She also worked in a school at the time, so she would have had to have like left school to then come pick me up, and she would have hated that. Like on days that I was off sick from school, she would just go to work and leave us to sleep it off. So I don't remember if I got in trouble for that, but I'm pretty sure she went out that night. And yeah, that was my 16th birthday. Most people have a party, apparently I collapsed. So I definitely think my childhood has really affected my depression now, my mental health now, because a lot of it felt like it was a battle, and that I wasn't loved, which I don't. I tell my son about 10 times a day that I love him, and I don't remember the last time she ever told me that she loved me. Anyway, like before, if you've got any comments or if you want to hear certain aspects, just leave a comment and I'll try and comment back to you. Again, if anybody else is having like the same kind of story or the same situation, or if they've got questions about their life that I could try and help them with, then I'm more than happy to do so. Anyway, thanks guys, bye!